Hello there, greetings and salutations, one and all. Um, just sharing, as always. So how is everyone? What has everyone been up to since Wednesday when we last spoke? I've purely been working. I did, as you can see, this little thing right here. I did do some hobby stuffing. Stuffing? It's not a thing. A hobby as always, and because I saw Louise's excellent video with her painting char. There's my char as Nibble. So obviously not to the high standard as Louise Sugden, of course. But, you know, at a glance, it works. It looks cool. So yeah, so it's just a chilled evening. Got some beers, got some cake, and I can't remember what the real thing I am. What I'll do, turn that down. Bosh. What is this now? Yeah. Just had Chinese tonight. I did an 8mm kit. What, an 8mm kit bash of a Chinese? That's impressive. How are you, fella? Oh, so yeah, just this was all grey plastic as of last night, and I thought, well, I can't have it just as grey plastic. This is char we're talking about. We need a little scissor lift. I'm breaking it. Oh well, it's not breaking. It just pops together. Yeah, I'm just basically. It's literally just tarting up a few bits and pieces, really. There was no real project. I did consider maybe making some. Sorry, I'm going to turn this down a bit. It's a little bit loud for me. In my end, sorry. I have got some like Legion stuff that is up on the shelves, which still needs to be done. I've got a Gundam, which turned obviously I posted up yesterday, which is my Zagok, which is the subterranean, because you can't see, but here is Char's master master grade Zaku 2. That's what he comes with. Comes with this little bad boy. So he's been sort of like weathered up and all that sort of thing. A bit of chipping and all that sort of stuff. there's still little sort of bits and pieces to be done with the big guy. I would like to put some Marines on the base, to be honest with you, because I've also got like a box of Marines for Legions, which I don't know what to do, whether or not to actually just do them as an independent sort of unit of a different Legion. Because I've got obviously Imperial Fists and I have got Emperor's Children, you can mix in other legions into the whole army setup sort of thing. So you could just have like a small contingent of Alpha Legion, or a small contingent of Sons of Horus, or Blood Angels, or White Scars, for example, in addition to what you are already fielding. So that's interesting and gives you another little field to piss about with. Or the other thing I did think about, and I've been thinking about this for a while, was I've always wanted to do like the 18 Legios or 20 Legion, 20 Legions sort of thing. And there's a lot of models, like little miniatures there. So like you've got at least 20 Space Marines, and just paint them in the respective colours, and then just have them as a small display, because I just thought that would be just really cute. Having 20, so you have two of them, like the 2nd and the 11th, just black or grey, so like a statue, and then everything else in their respective Legion colours. And I always thought that would be quite interesting, like a little teeny tiny project. Right, I'm just going to shut the door because it's actually turned suddenly a bit nippy. That's my my old LARP sword that I retrieved from the loft. So I bought this probably around about 95. It cost me about £90 because it came with the scabbard as well. There was a place in Chislehurst called Labyrinth. And Chislehurst in Kent, there's a cave complex, and it's open to the sort of public. And Labyrinth was a company that run dungeon hacks down there. So you'd go down there, you spend out, and somebody would take you out on dungeon hacks, and people were NPCing and jumping out and attacking you. But they had a little shop that sold armour and swords. And I saw that katana, and obviously being a young man, katanas were cool, and still are to this day. And so I basically spent 90 quid on that weapon. Shut that door. So yeah, and my other sword that I had, which was my main sword, which was also a katana, I named it Saber Wolf. My friend Ben has that because I gave all my LARP weapons to Ben years and years ago, and they're actually living in Edinburgh as of right now. So yeah, there was like a massive bastard sword as well. It was like definitely like bastard. I'd say actually it was more of a great sword because it was definitely a two-hander, and it was a huge beast thing which I acquired from someone. But yeah, so that's my only LARP weapon, and I just thought, maybe I could try, because it's a bit dog-eared, some of the latex has come off, so especially like the end, that's all a bit sad and tragic. So maybe try and tidy that up, repaint it, and try and bring it back to its former glory. I had to repair the actual. My friend actually repaired the actual tip because that got cracked. Someone was being a dick with my sword. My friend Tim did that. But yeah, it's quite light. So got nice big grip, so you can definitely twat somebody with it. But definitely needs some work on the entrance there, because that is a very sad, sorry state of affairs. So yeah, probably have to peel a lot of that off and get some latex on that. Hey Mary, sorry saw you there. Me rambling on. And try and do some repairs to the inside as well. Also, happy Aliens Day. It only works in American because April being the 4th month and it's the 26th, so LV426. Happy Alien Day. Right, I'm gonna move. We don't need him here, do we? So closer. Focus. Not gonna focus. Okay. Char Aznavour. Right. Put them back on their little display over yonder. On the top shelf, where we have Freedom from Gundam Seed. We have Unicorn. We have the Kshatriya, also from Unicorn. So, yes. How is everyone? What are we up to? What's occurring at your end? Are we building Titans? I'm looking in your direction, Marius. I'm gonna paint these little fucking aircraft though, because that thing's just been sitting there. I can't put that away because it's not finished. Hey, you cheeky little scamp sneaking in there. How are you, my darling? Ah, D&D, eh? Are you running or are you playing? Are you playing it? And what character are we playing? What's your class? These are important questions. I have some Machiavellian Hell Knight type. She's hilarious. Partly thinks she's a vaguely chaotic mercenary, actually lawful evil. Oh, you fuck her. Just let them think what they will, and then you will fuck them up at your earliest opportunity and convenience. We might have accidentally, I swear, burned down a mansion last session. My character says, "Don't worry, I know a guy." And this session, I plan to call in a favour. One of the bureaucrats, so it's me. That's fair. That's what favours are for. I was playing. Haven't really done a lot of role play for a while. Apart from like when I go to my friend Brian's up your way for the usual birthday roleplay session. Actually, this year's birthday roleplay session, he's doing Helldivers as the roleplay game. So, yeah, I'm all about that freedom, that juicy, juicy freedom, and liberty. I got to bring liberty to everyone. But with my sort of IRL friends from way back when, we were doing like sessions, Monster of the Week, and we were all playing sort of like magical entities. So it's kind of thinking like Supernatural, the TV series Supernatural, but without Jensen Ackles and the other dude. And we are, in fighting against, chaotic, nasty, evil thingies, but we may have been like servants and agents of old gods. So my character, who was basically, he had a very feline, because I based it on Vincent from Beauty and the Beast. So like, do you know that sort of like lion look sort of thing that Ron Perlman used to play in the sort of 80s, 90s. So I was basing it on my character on him, but it turns out that I found a Egyptian god called Mat, so Maat, and everything I read about it, it's like, oh well, that just ties in perfectly for him, sort of thing. So he was like a servant of the god Mat, and because of like certain things that I used to do, like we was investigating. It was sort of like Scooby Doo in a way. We'd turn up somewhere because we're following these leads and signs and stuff, and investigating sort of like this old place. There's something about it, and because there's some sort of like energy power there which is negative, and we've got to try and disrupt it and destroy it, sort of thing. And but we went to this sort of house where this person lived, and things escalated. Somebody, and it wasn't me. I was a combat monster, but I didn't normally go around instigating stuff. I resolved situations, and basically an interrogation went a bit left field. People were killed by our team, and as I'm role playing this, and it's basically I decide to set light to the entire building. And I'm like, what the fuck? We're meant to be like, just sneaking in here doing this. This is a bit obvious. And I'm going like, but it's to cover the tracks. And it's also an offering to my god. So it's like, every time we'd done something, I would end up burning down these places because there's no DNA that can be tracked back. Because we're not all sort of standard DNA type people. If you think about it, I have this lion face. That's why I was like, keep shrouded and a tall dark stranger. Like at a glance, I could pass as human, but if you really look, you go, hold on a sec, what's wrong with your face? But yeah, so my character got into the habit of burning shit. It was fine. Had to be done sometimes. I'm thinking about the party. I used to enjoy, like, again, years ago, we used to play sort of World of Darkness, and some of the funnest games I participated in were when we were Sabbat. So you're playing like the anti-tribute and stuff like that. And I had a couple of characters I enjoyed playing, and like there's two main characters I had. One was Asimite anti-tribute. Can't remember its name really. But he did earn the nickname of Touchy Touchy Feel Feel, because we were, we was in like the subterranean world of like the sewer systems, and somebody had set up like some sort of warp portal thingy there. So Mads Azimish set up this portal, and it was like summoning horrors and stuff, and like the Sabbat are horror enough. But having extra horror thrown in there, it's like, hey, this is causing too much drama. So we thought we had to take it out, and we're having this fight in this like hall. There's like a Stargate type apparatus there, and I thought this thing that we're fighting was really tough. So I thought, I know, I'll turn the machine on, and we'll just push the thing back through. That was my thinking. I turned the machine on because being an Asimite, I could turn invisible with my not Auspex, obfuscate, and I'd sneak along, got round, pressed the button, turned the machine on, which promptly started emptying more horrific horrors into our reality. And people were like, we're just getting a hold of this fucking thing, and all these other things started turning up. Who touched the machine? And I'm like standing there going, will you stop it? Oh God, you're such a touchy feel. And the name sort of stuck for that character. I weren't allowed to touch anything. But my other character, the Zamish that I played, I called Leto, because I like June, and I thought it'd be cool name for a Zamish. And I had my two mates, Nick and Norm. Norm was a Nosferatu called Snaggletooth. I can't remember what Nick's character was. I think it might have been something like a Von True. He definitely wasn't Bruja, and he definitely wasn't Tremere. So he might have been a Von True anti-tribute, so because they're not as in charge of the Sabbat, because it was mostly the Sombra, who were the big boys there. But Snaggletooth had a problem. He was illiterate. He weren't good with numbers, so he would think he'd know the rough patterns of numbers, and then try phoning me on his mobile, and then just breathe heavily down the phone. And then if he got the right number, I'd go, "What is it, Snaggletooth?" But a lot of times he wasn't the right number, and he would just go like that. But I always remember I told him, because obviously he'd been bloodbound to me, I was his coterie leader. I told him he had to watch the Camarilla Elysium sort of thing and see who comes out and records it all sort of thing. And I want to know like the toings and goings and toing and throwing sort of thing. And he got to a point where I phone up Snaggletooth on his mobile phone, and he answers the phone. Yep. quite chirpily. I went, Snaggletooth, yes, boss. I said, can you just look to your left? And he looks to the left, and basically the sun's coming up. It's like, oh, legged it. He was such a diligent servant and monitoring everything that he didn't realize, because he couldn't tell what the time was anyway. So, so I had to remind him it was sunrise, because he was so focused on the door, he wasn't paying attention to the fact there's this huge 4.5 billion year old fiery fireball rising up from the horizon. Yes. Silly Nosferatu. Yes. Yes. Sounds about right. What do you mean sounds about right? What? We're going back to the Monster of the Week game where I was a combat monster. It's really strange. Like in like live role play, back like I used to do again Mind's Eye Theatre, which was the Vampire, the Masquerade live LARPing, and Essex went under new management, so we done a reset. So basically, we started the game anew and introduced new characters, and everyone was starting off as basic characters and all that sort of stuff. And I thought at that time, because up until then I'd played Asimite was my main character in all these other things that I went to, all these sessions I went to. Like we used to travel around as well, sort of like various games throughout London, obviously Essex. There was Welling Garden City, I think we went to as well, but I might have been playing a different character then. But yeah, so we done this reset, and we had when we done the reset, our group Essex Camarilla had the best venues, because mostly you're hiring out sort of like halls, or up in Norwich they used sort of like on university, because some of them were at university, so I was able to use sort of like areas there that we could get quite cheap to host games and stuff, especially like in the other little centres and stuff. Pardon me. But in Essex, when we done the reset, we had a Napoleonic fort, which is called Coalhouse Fort, which is down in East Tilbury, and basically it sits on the banks of the Thames, because it was built in the Napoleonic area to monitor, ships coming in, and be a fortification where they could fire their massive cannons out at impending invading French ships that were coming down there, sort of thing. So we had the run of this fort on a Friday or Saturday night when we used to do the games. So you'd have people coming again from London, Kent, Hertfordshire, sort of thing, coming to our games and participating, because we had a fucking fort to run around, which had catacombs and everything. And part of the thing was also that part of the agreement was that at Halloween, our members would participate in doing like the horror sort of like walk that they used to put on, sort of thing. So like in these catacombs, they'd dress them all up and have people like in fangs and blood and howling at people and other punters were walking through to be scared and stuff. So we've done that a couple of times. I know a friend of mine; they're all associated with the thing still all these years later. So that was our first venue that we had, and we was there for a while until they weren't allowed to. The new management, and they got funny, and they didn't want a group of weirdos running around having a good time. So we had to find a new venue. The second venue we had is the Kelvin and Hatch HQ grade nuclear bunker and it's advertised. If you're ever driving through the Kelvedon Hatch area, you'll see the brown historical sort of like points of interest signs with a sign saying secret nuclear bunker. It's a bit of a giveaway. So it's a HQ grade one, so it's 3 floors underground. There's a massive sort of like from the main entrance. There's a massive, I think it's about like 100-meter long corridor as you go into the hill. Is under, and then you work your way up to the top part, and there's like that. It's a museum type thing now. In the early days, they were still figuring it out, so they had like a load of like all the stuff that was within it. They got it because basically, when we were doing the site visit and speaking to the owner, who's a farmer who owned the place, my friend asked him, like, how much did this cost you? And the like guy was smiling, and he goes, guess, sort of thing. And like my friends were going, oh, 5 million? Like, you know, it's a 3-story subterranean nuclear complex. And he said, nope. And I was waiting, and he come round to me, and I went, you paid about £100,000. And he went, yeah, near enough. Because he bought the land. This multi-million-pound nuclear bunker came with the land free of charge. They can't take it away. It's there. So he bought like a couple of hectares, like next to his fields where this thing was. He bought the land that it was residing on, which cost him £100,000 back in the late 90s. Mid to late 90s when he bought that, because I remember seeing it in the local paper about that there was a secret nuclear bunker in Brentwood. So yeah, so that was like cool, because the bunker actually had a refit only like 18 months previously, which cost £19 million refit, where they were improving the generators and the air recycling parts of this nuclear bunker. But it was fantastic. Like you'd have all these, again, you'd have loads of people coming from far and wide, because most places are either in pubs above, like in the rooms above the pub. Although London, to be fair, at weekends, pubs don't do a lot of business in the evenings, because once, like, you know, during the week, yeah, they're busy, but on Saturdays, not so much, because there's not that many, like, you know, it's mostly like the workers and stuff, like after work go to the pub and all that stuff. But a lot of pubs in the central part of London, we used to sort of rent out places on Blackfriars Bridge. There was a pub called the Paper Moon. There was one up near, well, right next door to Warren Street Station. There was a little pub there that we hired, and we had that run of the entire pub. So upstairs there's like little rooms, and then downstairs there was a place near the Old Bailey, literally just opposite the London Dungeons. This pub there again, and because you get them cheap, because they're all you're doing is paying for staff, and you're buying drinks, so it's worth them being open, you know, like private event sort of thing. So yeah, it was like several of these pubs. There was another one up near where Capital Radio was, near Euston sort of thing, at the top of Tottenham Court Road. So yeah, you'd go down there and near these pubs, but we had, say, a Napoleonic fort and this nuclear bunker. We did also tell, like, we also did have another place which was a college. So we had run of the college, like all the rooms, and the surrounding grounds as well, which had like a little amphitheatre outside, which the werewolves were particularly happy with, because that's where they used to hang out, werewolfing it up. But yeah, we were very, very fortunate with the venues we had available for us to use and abuse, and which we did use and abuse, because why the hell not? Good days. No more nowadays, unfortunately. Don't do a lot of that sort of shenanigans. Oh. Oh, it's great to reminisce. Right. Get this done. So, how is everybody? What's on the agenda for you all today? What are we painting, people? Oh, these little rotorcraft doohickeys. Working on a Gravis Captain, but I enjoyed Alien War Decrim. Oh, you watched that? Oh, that's cool. It was. I've been commenting. There was literally right. So with my background with Alien War, I went to the auditions. I was right at the front of the queue, where you see like the guys in the Colonial Marine stuff coming out, standing outside taking photographs. I was literally like not 10 meters away from them because they were just on the other side of the path where we were queued up, right at the front outside Planet Hollywood. So we saw all that, saw the policemen turn up and hanging out with them as well because they got reported because they're standing there with machine guns. Someone phoned the police up, and but yeah, like in that video, there was as you see him sort of like going inside and they're queuing up to do their auditions. You see a girl in a denim jacket with like curly hair and glasses. That's an old classmate of mine who was there as well auditioning. And you see her twice in that video, right? I got interviewed by the TV crew. The footage is out there because there was other parts of that footage used in other videos about Alien War, which I tried tracking down, like contacting the owner of the YouTube channel, saying like, "This footage, where did you get it?" Oh, I don't remember, man. You know, it's out there somewhere. Like, and all the links that he had were current, so I couldn't access it that way. Um, when I was about 12, I went to the one in Scotland. Yeah, my sister, um, who was from up Scotland way, um, she went to that one and she messaged on Facebook when I was posting it up on there that she almost broke her ankles when she was leaving that one. She was so freaked out by it all, and everyone was screaming, and she's run out and like tripped and almost broke her fucking ankles from it. But I was telling her like one of the stories that my buddies like Doug, who's doing the narration. Um, he was in the queue. So if I start from stuff, so basically, what happened is my then girlfriend, who was into sort of like arts and drama and all that sort of stuff, she saw in I think it was Time Out an advertisement for people to audition for Aliens attraction. So she sent it to me. Said, "Look, you'd like Aliens. What about going for that?" So I thought, yeah, fuck it, I'll do that. So I applied. They said come down. Um, you went down. It asked, because I don't think I might not have posted up that picture, because I took a screen cap of certain parts. So literally, they handed when you walk down to Planet Hollywood where it was, and I'm dressed up in urban camos, the black, white, and grey camos. I borrowed some like other kit, like webbing and stuff, from my mate Mike, who had a load of stuff. He even gave me a tin pot, but I thought I'm not carrying that around London, so I just had like a crap hat, and like shirt, camo shirt, and all that sort of stuff. Um, so I've gone down there, and I owned like the urban camo and German paratrooper boots that I owned, that I bought from Camden Market for 20 quid. Um, so I'm stomping along early morning on a Wednesday into central London, and I'm walking along to Planet Hollywood, and there's like no one about. Like there's people, but there's no one or nothing there. So I thought, oh well, that's the thing. There's nothing there. There's no like ropes or anything like that. I thought, well, this is odd. So I sort of buzzed it, and I thought, well, there's nowhere else to go, so I might as well queue up. So I walked back, and some guy who's similar, probably similar age to me, young lad, slightly smaller and skinnier than me, wearing a crap hat, but he's wearing like a pilot's jacket, like a leather pilot's jacket with the patches on. So he's just stood by the door. So I thought, oh, I fallen behind him. Bang. So I was second in the queue. And that started the queue. Because then other people gone, there's people queuing. And once you see a queue, you've got to join it. So other people come along. So Doug came along with his mate Stu. There was another guy called Steve. And there was Anthony, who was, I think Anthony, like Big Stu, was 6'4", and I think Anthony just tipped over that. And he was a mean, shaven head, um, uh, like he was monster sort of thing. And he actually looked like Charles Dutton from Aliens 3 sort of thing. He had that sort of look, but he was the most softest spoken person ever. You can imagine him working in an office somewhere selling insurance, stuff like that. But he was in his full tiger stripe outfit. Everyone's wearing some form of like thingy. Doug reminded me of Poncho from Predator, the one with the grenade launcher. So he reminded me of him. But he was a couple of years older than the rest of us, so he was doing a lot of the talking. Like, he was in a band, he'd done all this stuff and all that, and everyone's talking about their experiences and all that. And we all bonded. Like, and me and Steve were chatting amongst ourselves, sort of thing. Like, he was a couple of years older than me. And again, he was like 6'3". He looked like Ivan Drago, like Dolph Lundgren. Flat hat, blonde flat top, and all that, big build and all that. And I remember standing in the queue, just looked at him and going, "You've got this job. Like, you look like a space marine, like a colonial marine. There's no two ways about it. You look like a colonial marine." And he was actually offered the job on spot. So once he'd done his audition, so we're queuing there, we're chatting, have a laugh, sort of thing. The queue's formed up. It goes round the corner. There was like 1,000 people or whatever had gone for these auditions, and we were right at the front. And like Doug goes, "Do you know what? Because we've had a great time just standing there watching all the stuff going on, or all the TV crews come out. We got interviewed by a camera crew. So could you like come over here and we just ask you questions and all that." So the guy with the leather jacket was a guy called Rob. He spoke first. Then they've come on to me asking about why do you want to do this sort of thing. And I said, well, I absolutely love aliens, and colonial marines are really cool. I love all the stories, the background, the comics, and all that sort of stuff. So this would be like just really awesome to do, sort of thing. And they asked us all questions. And I remember I asked one of the camera team sort of thing. So who's this for? Like, where will we be able to see this? And we'll be on London Tonight. I went, all right, okay, cool, thank you. Sort of thing. Gone back to our queue, and then eventually we're all led in had to sign our like names in, who we are, and all that sort of stuff. Pick up this like piece of paper with what the script of what we had to memorise and say when we go on for the audition, sort of thing. So with doing that, and I've seen my friend Katie, who is the girl I've mentioned in that documentary, that little mini doc. You see her, sort of thing, as she's holding the script, sort of thing. And I'm like, there's Katie. Like, she actually did get a job there. She actually worked in the shop, because this was the part when I'd gone to sixth form college and sort of got kicked out. Well, they wouldn't let me go back in because I hadn't really applied myself properly. I spent most of my time in the centre, as we called it, which was basically the canteen and the room area above, which everyone just chilled out. I'd go to college every day, just not attending my lessons. So obviously, certain things I didn't get good grades on. And it doesn't help when one of the classes that you are bunking off from is the readmittance officer. So she did not let me back in because I avoided English, because I thought, bollocks. Yeah, I weren't thinking straight. I just turned up because it's something to do, really. So anyway, I'd left college, sixth form college, and I was starting my other college I was going to learn hairdressing. That's later on that day. And before we went in, Doug said, "Look, we're all like having a great time. Let's meet up after our auditions. Let's go to a pub, chill out, and carry on. And everyone's like, yeah, that's cool." So anyway, got in, saw Katie. So what are you doing here? Blah blah blah. I'm auditioning. Okay, that's cool. And then I've gone to queue. So when you see my friend Katie in that documentary, you see a guy in a black outfit behind her. That's Steve. That's my mate I was talking to. You would just see the sleeve of a brown leather jacket with a patch on. That's Rob, sort of thing. So they're there. So we've got our bits of paper with what we have to read. So basically it says, "My name is Lieutenant, insert your name here." So, "My name is Lieutenant Marshall. My mission today is to lead you civilians through the base Furies 161 and out to safety. There are, however, two very important things, points to remember." And then it goes, ad lib here. So what I can remember of what I was saying is like, I'm in charge here. I'm the one with a gun. I don't want none of this sort of like, bullshit. Let's say bullshit heroic sort of thing. That sort of thing. I don't want anyone running off trying to think that they can handle themselves, sort of thing. That's my job, sort of. Yeah, it was really like straightforward and basic. So I've done that. Steve, when I was talking to him, like we were like coming up with like what we were going to say, like his one was similar. It starts off like, stay with the group, don't go running off and all that sort of thing. I'm here for your safety. And secondly, don't feed the animals. And that got a laugh from Gary Charles and John Gorman, who were the guys who ran Alien War. So, and because he looked like a fucking colonial marine, beefy as fuck, they just said like, we like you. You've got thing. You've got that thing we're looking for. We want to give you a job. And he's like, okay, well, if you're going to do it, I want to know now that I've got it, because I've got other work sort of thing that I'm doing. So if you want it, you've got to commit to it now. And they went, yeah, cool. So they did. So he was straight in. So when we all come out, and I could see them gathering together, and there was loads of people there, loads and loads of people. Some people even brought down their own Colonial Marine armour that they bought. It was like, I think it was Bill Paxton's Colonial Marine armour that this guy, and it turns out he was called Harry Harris, and he's a big name amongst the Alien War people, because he like does all the little videos, archives of props and stuff for it. But I saw them, Now, I'm an 18-year-old kid going to college. I ain't got no money. And I'm of that sort of mindset. It's like, if I've got no money and I can't buy a round of drinks, I'm not going to the pub. So I saw them and I thought, I can't go. It's the things like going to a pub when you've got no money and you're sponging for people. I can't do that. You know? So I took what I thought was the valiant thing to do, the noble thing to do is like just disappear into the smoke. Fast forward 27 years, and on Facebook, my friend Brian was having a chat with about stuff, and Alien War gets mentioned. And I said, oh, I was at the front of the queue at Alien War. And this other guy pipes up going, oh, well, I was actually at the front of the queue. And I looked who it was, and it was Doug. I went, no, he wasn't. He was behind me. There was a small guy in front of me, then it was me, then it was you, and then it was this other guy with a flat top sort of thing. Because I could remember it like yesterday. And he's like, yeah. Pictures, and I've had a picture of me, what I looked like from back then. Goes, yeah, I remember you, sort of thing. And Doug, who's a friend of Brian's, who Brian, if you don't know, he used to be known as Templars Crusader. He used to do YouTube tutorial videos and how to hobby and all that sort of shit years ago. So we got connected, and then Steve turns up, and Steve goes, hey, it's the other guy. And I went, what? Because they all went to the pub as intended. And they're all in the pub, and they're going, hey, where's the other guy? And nobody knew what happened to the other guy. But 27 years later, through pure chance and coincidence, I got reconnected with what we call First Squad, because 3 of us, of that 6 of us in there, all worked at Alien War in one form or another. Like Doug actually went on to be a manager of it. He also, at the grand opening, when you had Sigourney Weaver there and most of the cast of Alien 3 turned up for the opening day thing, he led her through her tour of Alien War and scared the bejesus out of her. And whenever you see the old videos of like TV programs looking at Alien War, it's always Doug. And there's also another guy, Toby, Maria, who was the Vasquez of the whole thing. So I've now been reintegrated with that crew, and although I never physically worked there, mostly because of Steve, because Steve really liked me. We got on really, really well, and like we did in the queue. And it's like, you've got that brotherhood. It's really strange. All the performers, or the majority of the performers from Alien War, have that same connection as if you was in military unit sort of thing, where you have that camaraderie. They have that same thing. So they have semi-regular sort of get-togethers and all that sort of stuff. So every like 5 years, they would get back together, meeting up and all that sort of shit. And like some of them are really still close friends now, sort of thing. But I've been sort of indoctrinated, or you know, as part of that thing as an OG, because we do these anniversary things. So although, as I said, I auditioned for it, I applied for the job of a Colonial Marine, an Alien performer, or working in the shop, I got none of them. If I had gone to the pub, because this is something that both Doug and Steve both said, they all exchanged phone numbers and contact details. Because once it started coming round, like those people that got accepted, there was a load of dropouts. And so they said, like, do you know anyone? And so they went, well, because Anthony, the big tall black guy, didn't get in. But they phoned him up. He went, all right, yeah, I'll do that. So he went and worked down there. Big student. And I don't know about Rob. I don't know if they bothered with Rob. But they couldn't get hold of me. And it was just like, they were saying, like, you know, just imagine if you actually turned up, we would have had your phone number, you could have worked there. And so I could have worked there if I had 15 quid on me to go to a pub to buy some drinks for people, things would have been different. You know, and that's one of those, like, sliding doors kind of things. Oh, hey, Max. Sorry, mate. I've just been rambling for the last 20 minutes. Sorry. Um, let's see what's on answer. I was absolutely terrified. I remember being nearly in tears. My big brother found it all hilarious. That's what happens at my time at uni too, really. Going around, I say like, oh, sorry, Ben, you've probably already gone. No, they did not hire me, as I was just saying. What a cool memory, though. What a shame. Yeah, no, that's the thing, though, you know. But that's life, you know. But we had a 30th anniversary get together, and I went there, and basically it was like a camp out weekend. I was only there for one day, sort of thing, as I often do. Went down there because the year before we had a little boot camp because a load of the people in the Facebook group for Alien War, like people like yourself that have been there, all part of it, they all wanted to come along and do this boot camp thing. So we done this boot camp in PJs, not in PJs, but there was another performer called PJ. He had obviously done okay for himself, and he had a farm, he had land, and so he said, like, you can all camp out in the land in the fields. So we did that, and barbecue, drinks, done a little sort of forest run, done some like, you know, prop maintenance and people dressing up and all that sort of shit. It was a really good weekend. And then the second one for the 30th anniversary, I turned up there. Got a really nice photograph of us as a group together, like the OG, and they'd all accepted me as part of it because partly in memory of Steve, I think, because Steve was just like always including me in like interviews and stuff. He'd always mention about Lee Marshall, the other guy, sort of thing, you know. So it was really nice, and it's really like, you know, it is an honour for me. And the funny thing is, I never did Alien War. I used to go down to the Trocadero, where it was based, every now and again, and I went down there to play BattleTech in this place called Virtual World. So it was a virtual, like, BattleTech Mech Warrior game thing, and I'd go down there, you know, take the money, go down, and I'd walk past Alien War and look at it because I was a little bit sort of like, you know, melancholy, I guess, for a teenager. But one day I was down there with my girlfriend, and I decided I've got to do Alien War. We're going to do Alien War. So we went down there, and as we walked up, they used to have like a guy doing front of house, and he's in his Colonial Marine outfit, and he's standing there, and we're walking along, and he's like going up to people, like, and now for the life of me, I cannot remember what he said to me, but what he said to me was fucking like it fucking set me off. I was furious. Like, he said something to me, like, and I'm with my girlfriend, and I'm like, fucking hell, that's rude. You can't say that to people, sort of thing. And I was like livid, and I thought, well, for fuck you guys, I'm not going fucking spending my money in your fucking shitty thing. You know, honestly, I'm a really pretty cool, laid back guy, but he said something, and it's obviously it's just gone. I've gone from naught to nuclear, and I've gone, what the fuck? Just, oh, come on, we're going, sort of thing. Never went in there, and then a couple of months later, they had the flood, and no more. Ended. They are trying to get it back. They're trying to do it again. They want to do it again. It was like the best attraction for like 18 months in London, literally. And they've got so many stories of like that celebrities go there. Michael Jackson went there, didn't actually do it. He sent his bodyguard, one of his bodyguards, in there to see how scary it was. The guys come out, you go, you don't want to go in there. It's like, you're not going to like it. So he didn't go in there. The best story that was told was when the New Zealand rugby team went in there, and Jonah Lomu freaked the fuck out. It was like, you know, as Marius, you know, with his, you know, scared the shit out of him. He's fucking freaked the fuck out, and he's just legged it. The problem being, where we go up to this junction, instead of going right, which would have took him outside, he went left, and literally just gone like behind the scenes and all that, and he's come to a point where there's a fucking guy in an alien suit with the head off, like resting on his head, smoking a cigarette, because he's on break. It's between runs, so he's having a quick fag before the next batch. Yeah, so that was Jonah Lumu, but there was like loads of other stories that they have, and they are really nice people, a lot of them, and I love them dearly. And you know, hopefully we'll get to hang out again at some point and just reminisce, watch old videos, and hopefully with this little documentary thing, Beneath London, the story of Alien War, that's on YouTube. If they can get more people to like, share, subscribe, well, not subscribe, but basically just get the numbers up. They want to do. They've got loads of stuff. They've got loads and loads of stories. They've got loads more like images, videos, so much stuff. But to put that together, it's taken like 6 months to get that done. But you need everything. You need backing. So they're hopefully putting that out there. And if they get somebody to go, hey, we want to know more about this thing, get some more stuff done. I remember there was another one I went called Horror or Terror or something. So with Alien War, there was 4. So there was the one up in Scotland. I think was it Glasgow or was it Edinburgh? I think it was Glasgow. That was the first one in the Arches. And then they had a little sort of thing down on the south coast, like Brighton or Bournemouth or something like that, as like a little field test before they went to get into London. But when they went into London, they actually, because of Alien 3 was coming out, they actually got a lot of backing from Fox. So that's why in that documentary where they was able to go to Pinewood Studio and grab loads of old bits of scenery from movies, from the Aliens movies, and incorporate that into the build of the base sort of thing. That was fortuitous. And then also having the big opening thing with Sigourney Weaver, Brian Glover, Lance Henriksen was down there as well, amongst other sort of actors and all that, and they all took them through. But that whole thing was that it was total reality, is the coin word that Gary Giles always banged on about. It's not like virtual reality, this is total reality. And the thing is, I don't think, nowadays, because of what happened in there, I don't think you could get away with it, because there was a lot of people having to run around. Someone falls over, they sue. The list of lost and found in that video was actually quite interesting as well. It's like, what? How did they lose that? The one about the sock. Somebody lost the sock. How do you lose the sock without losing the shoe as well? And other bits and pieces. But yeah, it definitely was a great institution. And again, it's a regret not going to the pub. It's also another regret not actually going to Alien War. But I've lived Aliens so much in all my life. It is like part of me, because I absolutely loved the franchise, the comics, the movies, everything. And obviously Aliens Earth is out this year, so that's something to look forward to. But that's that's the way it goes, unfortunately. Right. So I just received a message from Maria, um, from the Aliens crew, because seeing all that footage, right? Because I'm watching it to see if there's, because I don't show up in anything. I haven't seen the TV interview from London Tonight. I stayed in for 2 weeks after that thing, watching London Tonight to record it if it was mentioned and seen, just so I could say I'm on TV, right? Spent 2 weeks doing that, nothing. And he come to the Friday night, and I thought, like, normally I'd go out to the pub, hang out with my mates, the Dog and Duck, go down there. I'd buy myself literally like 40p pint of cordial, sort of thing, just so I could hang out with my mates, you know. And I've been putting that off, going down there later, sort of thing, because I was watching this thing. And I thought, fuck it, I've obviously missed it or misheard what the guy said, so I've left that flat, gone walking down the road, gone to a phone box, phoned up my mate Herman to see if he's going to be down the pub when I get there. I don't want to be on my own, sort of thing. His brother answers. Oh, is Mark there? His real name's Mark, but we all called him Herman. Oh, it's Mark there. Yeah, I was kidding. So Mark phone comes to the phone, and instead of saying hello, his first thing is, "What are you doing on TV?" I went, "What?" So you're on TV wearing like army gear? I went, "Oh my fucking!" But as I said, the footage is out there because Anthony, who is the tiger stripe wearing tall black man, man of colour, he looked fucking mean as fuck, but he was so softly spoken. You see, I've seen his bit on one of these videos where they're talking about Alien War. So the footage is out there because, like, he was the first person they spoke to, because they started off with the camera panning up from his feet because of how tall he was up to the top, and then they interviewed him, and then they went round Rob, me, Doug, and I think Steve as well. But obviously, I got in there. I got on there on the screen, but I've never fucking seen it. I ended up buying that expanded box set off the back of the documentary. I hope it's foot £92 is a lot of money. What? I was on the end of that, the one that was on I linked in the off of Instagram today, or X or whatever. I was posting it everywhere. You know, at the end of the day, you know, I try to help out where I can. That's what you do. But yeah, hopefully, if things go to plan, people want to do it, because people do want to do it, but it's the logistics of it. It's not something you can. Although saying that, I said about fucking, you should do it down at that nuclear bunker I used to role play in. That'd be brilliant for it. Just got to dress up the place. Some smoke machines, streamers. But again, you've got to be careful not to kill anyone. That's bad. It's frowned upon. Ah, right, yeah. As I say, I'm pretty blasé to any sort of advertisement, so I just get off. Although the other connection I have to Aliens, the actual movie Aliens, is that my old mate um, Andrew, or we called Harry, he was in Aliens as an extra, and unfortunately for him, when he was telling all his friends at school, because I didn't meet him until I was about 16, 17. No, I was about 16. Because he was with, I met him on a bus with my oldest friend, Russell, who I've known since we were like, babies. They were like next door, a couple of doors down from where I used to live. But my mother remarried and we had to move. So I moved away from the area, I had to change school. But always kept in contact with Russell. Still do. Um, and he was on the bus. I was going home early because I was ill. I went to work. I used to work at Walthamstow Dog Track in the kitchens as a chef assistant, and I weren't feeling too good, so they sent me home. I got on the bus, and they were sitting in the seats in front, so I got talking to them, um, and met Harry. Eventually, we've all basically me, him, another friend called Richard, who is Russell's mate. Um, we've all gone to Euro Disney in 1992 as 17-year-old kids. We've saved up, paid for a holiday to Euro Disney. So we've gone out to Euro Disney in July 1992. And his thing was that as he was a kid, he used to do TV and film. So he was in Aliens, which nobody believed him because you don't see you in Aliens. But when the special edition got released, you see him. Well, you see a blurred image of him because he's one of the kids playing around in Hadley's Hope, and you used to like see this kid in the background wearing like denim. He did have a speaking part, but they cut it because all he says when the base commander goes, "Hey, you kids," sort of thing, as they're playing, he goes, "Let's go." But they cut that. The only thing you see of him is his are the legs next to the kid on the tricycle. So you see that. So you see his legs. He was in A Fish Called Wanda as a choir boy. So if you ever watch that, you see Michael Palin accidentally kills a dog, and they're at a funeral for a dog, and he's a choir boy. He's on the right hand side, and every time we used to see it on TV, we used to just phone him up and just laugh at him because he's got this really bad basin haircut, as you would. Um, but yeah, so he was in Aliens, and strangely, I say strangely, like um, there was a character in a later books cartoon series about aliens, continuing the story after LV-426. Um, there was like, I think Newt was with somebody else, another colonial marine, and this colonial marine was called Andrew Harrison, which is my mate's name. So whether or not they stole that from that, who knows? But yeah, that happened. So they're flying around together. So it weren't like, because obviously with Michael Byrne and Sigourney Weaver, you can't touch them. But this was a sort of continuation where they don't die in Aliens 3. I can't remember the actual series, but it exists. Hey, killer. That just adds to the experience. Everything, with doing that sort of thing, it's a great. Obviously, I've been chatting now for freaking ages about something that I auditioned for, never actually donned the armour, which I regret. You know, it's just one of those things. But again, if I had the money on my pocket that day, I would have gone to the bar, and I would have hung out with these new friends, and you know, I would have my phone number. They would have phoned me up and said, "Look, there's jobs going. They're after people to come down here. You want it?" And I could have gone and worked there, you know, and had a laugh because they all of them say it was the best job they ever had, scaring the shit out of punters. They loved it, and like sometimes you'd be having massive like a big day of people coming in, like groups after groups after groups. Because initially it started out to be about 20 minutes. They would like drag it out and all that sort of stuff, but then like on busy times they'd get it down to like 10 minutes, sort of thing. Literally just, but even then, 10 minutes in that environment where you're getting shouted at, pulse rifles were going off, or when the pulse rifles weren't working, blanks are being fired in an enclosed space. Fun, but it's all that visual sensory overload. So visual audio overload, because it was all like the sound systems, the smoke, the sort of, you know, the puppetry bits. But yeah, they've all gone on as well. A lot of performers done other acting work afterwards. Doug got into special effects because from front of house, he went behind the scenes with the maintenance of the weapons and doing the sets and the props and stuff like that. He actually ended up working in special effects, and he's worked in such films such as Reign of Fire, Fast and Furious, Harry Potter, you know, films you may have heard of, Ghostbusters Afterlife, stuff like that. He, you know, he does all that shit. One thing, like, if you've ever watched Fast and Furious series, there's this one of them that they're in. I think it's like the fourth or fifth one or whatever. There's a chase involving a tank. He's in the tank. Or Reign of Fire with the dragons. He's in the dragon pumping fire out. So that's the sort of stuff he does. That's his bread and butter. So he worked with Terry English, who most people would know is like the grandfather of practical effects armor. So he was the guy that came up with the Stormtrooper armor and stuff for Star Wars. He also came up with suits of armor in Excalibur, the Michael Boorman movie. No, is it Michael Boorman? It's definitely a Boorman, because his son Charlie Boorman, but the other Boorman. And Aliens, he done those all the Clone and Marine shit for them as well. So, like, you know, if you've seen movies in the 80s and 90s in particular, Terry English was the guy that most people would go to get suits of armor or battle plate and all that shit made up for. He was the main man, and he'd worked with him on a few projects and stuff, and still chats with him on occasions. Master Mouse, evenings. How are you, my friend? We're just reminiscing. Happy Aliens Day as well to everyone that's hanging out, because it is 4/26 by the American calendar. It is 4/26, but British it's 26th of the 4th. Hmm. Tired after a mental week, but got to spend a day working on the Warlord and build a knight to bring me to 2,100 points of Hawkshroud Knights. That's impressive going. Nice. I salute you, sir. I spent the day myself seeing posts. I got tagged in a post on a Facebook Titanicus group because this guy has turned up with his large collection. He has a bigger collection of knights than me. I know it's hard to believe. He's got about 260 odd titans plus knights. I've known of his existence for a couple of years now, but I also know that he's a collector in that he gets the stuff, but he doesn't necessarily build and paint it. So he gets them all commissioned, which makes it even more bonkers. I know, like, people go to me about, oh, like, you could have bought a sports car with that. Yeah, but I don't want a sports car. I want tires. Which I don't think they know how much a sports car costs. I don't believe. Check behind the sofa for another. No one has more than you. The only Titans I have more of than him are War Masters. He only has 6. But yeah, so all of his stuff is commissioned. So he's got the largest collection of painted Titans, but he's not painted them. So that's him. If he wants to pay out, because with his knights, he's got like 300 knights. Now, from what I remember, he has these knights into 4 different households, and I also remember he has got within these households, each one has the same amount of Porphyrions, Christorius, and Cerastus, and Armigers. And each of them have at least 20 Armigers. Now, considering that you are paying £35 for 3 Armigers, so each house is about 270 quid's worth of Armigers, and there's 4 of them, so that's £1,000 on Armigers. And then he's getting them commission painted. So normally, for like a basic or a reasonable tabletop standard, you're normally doubling the cost of the model. So if it was a £35 kit, you're paying £70 for it to be built and painted, plus any extras, sort of thing. So that's £2,000 on Armigers on their own. So, all power to him. Like, I know several people that have really well-paying jobs, and if he finds happiness in that, then all power to him. It's just, as it is. I was the first to 50 Titans. I was the first to 100 Titans. I was the first to 150 Titans. There's other people out there I know that are. One of them, a friend of mine I know from like the Maximal Fire crowd, Jay, who runs Twisted Titanicus. He's catching up to me with his painted that he's built and painted, but he's also got another 80 sitting there in boxes ready to go. So I already know that I will be surpassed. Next name, first at all official houses. No, I meant 5,100. Bloody hell, Mouse. That's impressive. And I double salute you, sir. so much going on. Honestly, I mean, tagged in loads of stuff recently. Admittedly, mostly aliens related today. Um, Stuff of Instagram Quipster, because I commented he was out playing game. Quipster Nerd was playing a game, and it was a Dice Saloon down in Brighton, and I know the place very well. The last few games of Heresy that I've actually played has been at Dice Saloon when I've been playing my friend Ivy. But yeah, it's a bit all those little tags. People talking to me about bloody. Again, Alex from Maximal Fire was saying, "Oh, someone's always got as many Titans as you." No, he's already beaten me by about 90 odd Titans, 85 Titans. This is my 175th. This War Master Iconoclast. Actually, really quite happy with that. I've got to. What I have to do is get all 10 together. Sorry, but if you didn't paint and build them, it doesn't count. I'm somewhat of a snob in that regard. I have proudly done all 8 out of 9. Well, that's the thing. It's like within the hobby, we do have like collectors and you have gamers and all that jazz. So we're all from different areas, and yeah, it does feel a little bit strange that you've bought all these kits and you're getting other people to paint them for you. Admittedly, like, you know, if you're not much of a painter but you enjoy the game, that's fine, you know. And apparently, people borrow his Titans for games and stuff. They're all in a rather nice display cabinets. But yeah, it doesn't. I don't want to. I don't. I'm just having a moan. You know, I'm an old curmudgeon. You know, I've ruled the roost long enough. The king is dead. But yeah, it is what it is. And as I say, like going for 175 Titans is a good total. I want to play a game with them. I keep on meaning to sort of like organise. At the moment, I've got a few problems with the car, sort of, because I'm not sure. You know, touch wood, it still goes, but it's done. I've done a lot of miles in that car, and it might be getting towards the end of its life in that respect, which is a shame. It has served me well. It has taken me to many fun weekends away, and as well as work. But yeah, I would love to go up to Warhammer World with all the Titans again and do another Titan death, or even do Titan death. This year, well, next month is my 50th birthday. I know I look like 21, I know. But it's the thing, it's like I would like to do something, but the thing is, I like to go up to Warhammer World on a weekday, purely because there's not so many kids up there as weekends, and it's more about seeing like my buddies that work in for like specialist games and actually at Warhammer World in the various departments. It's nice to see them. You know, normally when I've done a massive Titan walk of my own, like people from the studio come down, check out everything, have a little look, have a chat, which is lovely. It's really quite nice when they do that, and it's great to see these people that seeing their eyes light up when they're looking at some crazy dude you know, with his obscene amount of Titans there, and they come down and they just look at these Titans and they're like, this is what we want. This is what we want to see, is people coming along and the stuff that we've helped design and bring into life. We love seeing that and like what people have painted. Um, so I do have, hold on a sec. Yeah. So the last time I went up to Warhammer World with my 150 Titans, oh bugger, sorry, Will Hayes. Now Will Hayes is one of like the like Titan designer builder type dudes, and he came over, like, and he's like, yeah, like, you know, word is getting around that you're over here, because I always, the other thing is I don't make a big thing about it. I'll book it in there, and then I won't like announce it until the day, sort of thing, because I don't want to cause a hubbub, which is stupid. But um, Will Hayes has come over. I don't know if you can see. Can you see that little guy? That little guy, little engine seer next to the cannon. So he turned up with a little plastic bag with this little model that he's, with green stuff and bits of plastic, he's made a little Titan Princeps engine seer dude. And he gave us a lot, like, I heard you was coming up here and I made this for you. And I'm like, oh dude, that's so cool. And eventually I painted the little bastard and stuck him. Yeah, actually I can do that, can't I? And stuck him on here. Yeah. Oh, come on. Damn you, camera. But yeah, so so that's a one in the world. There's no other ones like that, because he did say, like, now that they've got like Legion Imperialis stuff coming out into the wild and all that, that people are using like Solar Auxilia models as like little characters. But now obviously you've got the Mechanicum stuff that you could actually put on your Titans. You know, get your little engine seer dudes, tech priests. I bet you get asked for variety when you buy beers. That's the dream, to draw their attention. Yes. I'm presently working on 89 and 90 right now, both Reavers. Good boy. I salute you, sir. But yeah, these are wonderful little fucking behemoths. So taking them out on a battlefield would be awesome. So again, so like I need to get some more warlords, I reckon, because I always like to build my mana pools, my Titan or my battle forces. So 3 warlords, 5 reavers, 5 warhounds, you know, dire wolf or 2 maybe, nemesis, 2 of them in each one, I've only got one in there, so I need another one. Just to give it a rounded out, because with that amount of Titans, you can build the vast majority of mana pools. Not that you can field all the mana pools at once, but you can do your Lupercals, you can do your Fortis, you can do your Exterminus, although you can only do it with 3 Warlords and a Warbringer, because you can't afford the 4th one, because most games are going to be 1750 to 2000. Unless you go 2500, that's the only way you're going to get a full Exterminus, which is 4 Warlords and a Warbringer. So that is the thing. But having 175 Titans, that is a Secundus grade Titan Legio, at least a Secundus. Because I think it might even be Primus. Because I think Primus is maybe around at 200. What's my go-to mana pool for Ignatum? It's the direct replica of my big mana pool, which is Axiom. And it's not because of the rules. It's the models I've got in my big lot. So it's an Axiom with Iracundus. So, you've got a named Titan, special character Titan or whatever. But it's the mana pool I've played the most. That and my other favourite mana pool is actually Venator Light. Solaria. I love Venator Light. Again, whenever I do Titan Legios, it's not for the rules, it's for the looks. It's for the coloration, the style. Ignatum was always going to be my Titan Legio because it was the first from way back when, and that picture of the lone Doom Deathbringer class Titan, that is something I did ask like the guys at Specialist Games. I said, look, if you're bringing out another Titan at any point, could you do the Deathbringer? Because there's a scale 11 requirement out there. We've got scale 10, we've got scale 12. We need a scale 7, and we need a scale 11. And, what are you doing, Impera? I dare you. Yeah, I know what you mean. Solaria will always be my first love. Solaria is great. I love Solaria. And again, it's like Solaria, and I said this from the early days of this whole adventure in Titans, is that certain Titan Legios, it was like when you couldn't get hold of decals, or there wasn't any decals for certain factions or certain Legios. Certain Legios don't need decals, like Solaria. You look at the paint scheme, it's Solaria. It's like Furians. It's Furians. Ignatum, you pretty much know it's Ignatum, although Metallica, because Metallica does have yellow and black stripes. They also had mainly white and black and white stripes, but you know, they had yellow and black as well, and the old stuff as well, which is a bit annoying. But you know, most Titan Legios, you'd look at the colour schemes, you know who they are. Yes, it's a lovely addition to have Legio specific decals to add that little bit of character. Because I say, like with the big guy, sorry, having the Legio insignia there anyway. But having like these decal sheets, they do add a little bit more depth and dimension to the actual model as a whole, which is what you want, really. Right, I've got to eat some cake because I got some clearance cake. I was in Tesco's, not Tesco's, I was in Sainsbury's. I needed to get some bits and pieces for home, like cat food and stuff. And as I was wandering around, I noticed that they had the nice cakes. So this is lemon drizzle. Well, there's lemon and olive cake, but it's got to be in today, really. Oh, that's nice. But I'll tell a lie, it's dated the 30th of April. And that's Wednesday, isn't it? And I was doing clearance today. Oh, lucky me. Sorry. I've got another one here as well. But it's a different one. This is a lemon tart. Oh, this is nice. So like, to have this Legio Maniple faction force, whatever you want to call it, properly finished. As I said, I need another 2 warlords and probably another warbringer. But I would really love to take these all up to Warhammer World, get several tables together, or do the real big table. Because the big one, the Imogen, the Bridget Imogen table, although it's all 40k, that's an 8x12 table. That's like a full-size snooker table type affair. I've managed to get 100 Titans on there and 150 Knights quite easily, but having the other stuff on there as well would be really cool. More notifications and stuff. Oh, what's going on here? Oh my god. Just checking on other notifications I've just seen. Interesting one from my friend from Northern Ireland. Not you, Mac, the other friend. I have more than one friend over there. Um, oh, you cheeky devil! And you know who I'm talking to. um, but yeah, so with sorry, I'm just getting refreshments. You fucker. No, he's messaged me. He's messaging me separately whilst hearing me fucking talk to him. Um, this is so meta. Um, but yeah, so like the whole thing with doing all of this Titan stuff is that it I haven't been as creative in my hobby as I had been before the advent of Titans. Like I used to hate doing bases. Now with my Titans, as you've seen previously with all these other little Titans that I've done, um, I put more effort into them. There's a lot more to be creative with, and I love that visual effect that they have because it adds to the scale. Because like the very first Titans I did with um, with scenery bits was my Legio Solaria. So once I started that one, so that was my third Legio. So I'd already started on Ignatum and Kratos, and just done the basic standard, um, like sand and stuff on the bases. But because you had like the Civitas buildings that came out, and I built loads of buildings, and you had all these other parts left over, and I just thought, you know what, yeah, by just cutting these up a bit so they looked all bombed out and shut upon, having them on the base adds to the effect of showing it just how big these fucking titans are. And like some of my, I say a lot of my Solaria ones, I've even got like 2-story buildings in there at certain parts. So you have to be careful so you can actually get the fucking weapons in as well. But doing that really did expand my whole idea and concept of what basing was. And I kept it simple. And as you saw when I was building this guy, that's just some bits from the newer Civitas kits where they've already done what I was doing beforehand and just making broken rubble buildings. And then that was one of the scatter terrain bits, which I wanted to be as a tactical rock. But having all that on there, it adds to the sheer scale of just how fucking massive these fucking things were. It would have been nicer if these bases were bigger, just so you could get more onto them. But yeah, that's big enough. You can't really do like a massive stride with a War Master. They only stretch so far, but they do. I love these big guys. I did magnetize these little fucking things. The first one out of 10 I fucking bothered magnetizing. Although I haven't magnetized these because I don't know who was it. The Primaris Painter, I think, when he was in chat the other day, was like, "Oh, have you done the weapons yet?" Because I was trying to sneak out off stream. I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna disappear." But I didn't, and I literally these, so you can see, they were knocked out in literally 5 minutes. That was plastic. I went over it in lead belcher with a brush. I then hair dried it, and I had the hair dryer on my lap, and then I'm adding Agrax to there, hair drying it. Another layer of Agrax, hair drying it. Third layer, just for good measure, trying to get a little bit more to pull towards the end. Drying with the hairdryer. Then the Druchii Violet, 2/3 the way up, hairdryer. And then the last bit was the Dragonhof Nightshade. So again, it just gives you that, you know, scorched effect, just simple, and then dry brushed over that with I think it was Runefang, so it stands out from the washed metals that I've already done. So that way I could say I've done it. It's got all its weapons. There's other bits. As I look at this, I see stuff that I go, maybe I should just do that. And I stare at it lovingly for some time. So yeah. All good things to those that wait, Mac. I'm just saying that randomly. On basing, with the Titans, they have the feel of being centerpiece models, so you just want to go the extra step. Yeah, you're right, sort of thing. You know, having a base done on a model, yeah, it looks good, it's complete, but putting a little bit more time and effort into a base, especially like on the big guys, it just gives you that extra dimension to it all. Just trying to think. Hold on. Just move you out of the way. Find my. Hold on. So again, where I done Ibn Farouk for this was using the Legions Imperialis base, because I had this Warhound sitting there, and I thought I want to do something that ties into the old original Adeptus Titanicus / Space Marine pre-proto epic days, because the first time you see Legio Furians or Titans of the Legio Furians, they are standing there as a Emperor's Children dropship comes down, and you see a procession of Emperor's Children Space Marines and their black looking tanks, because Tony Cottrell added in the thing that towards the end of the Heresy they was running out of purple paint, so they saved it for the armour and put the tanks in black. So that's why all my Emperor's Children tanks are black, with little accents of purple here and there. But I wanted to have a Legio Furians Titan, which I painted. Ibn Farouk, fixed loadout with turbo laser and plasma blast gun, because you've got your mass destruction available with the plasma blast gun. Obviously shield stripping potential as well, because if you get 2 solid hits, you've got 4 hits. And then you've got your turbo lasers for your shield bane or your pinpoint shots with a little bit of strength. So sticking smashed up bits of building really does sort of add. So where I cut off that bit there and that bit there to give you that sort of like broken down and subsidence sort of thing, those parts go to make up this extra bit here. So this again adds to the whole effect that this was a bigger building that's been bombed out, and you've got a Titan now strolling through it. And it's those little simple things there that just adds that more of a story to the base than just being some bits on it. So it just gives you that more impressive sense of scale. For these are meant to be like 18 meters tall. War Master's sort of like 30. Is it 30? No, Warlord's 33. these are about 35 to 37, I think. Because the whole thing, because there's so much confusion about the size of Imperator's, because obviously what has been written in the books, Forge World go, no, 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 no. If we haven't said it, it doesn't exist. And then Games Workshop does other things. So you have all that toing and fro. It would be nice just to say, look, there's your fucking Imperator Titan. Deal with it. Not being like, I know, and I've said this plenty of times where I was in the seminar at the Horus Heresy Weekender where Tony Cottrell said about Imperator Titans in AT scale is that they are 3 times the height of a Warlord Titan in AT scale, and Warlord Titans are almost 6 inches, so 3 of them is 18 inches, which is about the rough scale of a Reaver Titan in 40k scale. So, as much as I like Titans, it would be very hard for me to spend out sort of 700 quid on one, albeit Mahusive model. If they did it in plastic, they can have it like, I know, was it Dies Irae was meant to be somewhere between 43 to 55 meters, but then you get all the people like the Rivet counters going, oh no, it can't be that small, it's going to be bigger. I don't know. It just would be nice to have an Imperial. Like, I'm seriously considering getting that one of my friends to print off that Walking Cathedral STL, because it's a free STL. It looks a bit like an Imperator. Why not? If they do it to like 8mm scale like these guys, it'd be a nice little centerpiece to finish off the army sort of thing. Yes. But so I'm gonna have to put that cake there. Get that over there. Because now I'm feeling a little bit chilled. You know what? All I've painted so far is some fucking small, tiny fucking aircraft. I spent 95% of the time talking about Alien War, and now and Titans. So yeah, this is my life. I love it. Right. Sorry. Again, notifications. So much going on in the world.
Now it's even easier to
Oh my god, there's adverts. What?
Maybe I should sell that juicer we've used.
Yeah, I don't want no juicer. No adverts. We don't have adverts in our music. Our cyberpunk ambience so deep. Whatever you want to fucking call it. how's that person dealt with? Right, base. Stop these little fuckers. Put them to one side for a sec. Because I have been distracted. Oh, I don't want to look at that. Oh, god damn it. There you go. That's better. And Audax brought one down. Go doggies. There was a lot of Audax doing that, to be fair. Like, hey, caught ourselves a marlin. Yeah. There is a guy on Instagram who's actually doing Legio Oberon War Master at the moment. Can't remember the name off the top of my head, unfortunately. But he does he does the best looking Legio Oberon. You know, the Tony the Tiger Legio, which even I have painted a Tony the Tiger Titan as a dead Titan because I like to mix up what I've painted. But he does it so. I'm going to have to look it up now because that's pissing me off that I can't remember. I must be getting old. You know, anyone think it was my birthday next month? Oh, it is. So I've just seen Louise's little char again next to the Avalon sunset. Legio Oberon. Shouldn't be hard to find, he says. Not hard to find at all, really. Oh, no, that's not him. That's him. So that's what he's working on at the moment, is his War Master. Not that you can see it. But he has done, like, he actually commented on my War Master. He goes, "You're putting me to shame," because he's like on episode 12 or 13 now, because he takes his time in doing stuff. But I've done, that's my 10th one. I know how to paint them. I'm not doing it to such a high standard compared to him. He's doing a really fucking tip-top fucking job, I tell you. I'm just trying to find his, yeah. So those Warhounds are fucking mint. So you got a battle bling stuff for them. Sagittas non domesticas. Like that. Not house dogs. But that's just so crisp. That's the right kind of orange. The black. It's the right kind of black. You can't say fairer than that. He just looks the fucking nuts. That's Jake MCC90. Jake MCC90. Yeah, all in one word on. Actually, I can do that. Oh, I can do something. I can be proactive and copy. Yeah, I can put that into the chat. There you go. I'm being helpful for some persons. So hodonk and hodonk a badonk. See. I'd love another, but I've only fielded a War Master 3 times. That's fair. But it's at our levels of obsession, doesn't matter. you fielded your War Masters more than I have. I've got a lot more than you because whenever I get the opportunity to play a game, 90% of the time I'm doing an intro game for somebody, and you can't just go in, Okay, this is Adeptus Titanicus, and I'm bringing a War Master to the party. And again, Warlords, right? So originally, I was always a Reaver head from the very beginning, from the early days, from the time of yore, back in the past. I was a Reaver head, and that's why my first big Titan was a Reaver. Makes sense. I never used to like the original Warhounds, the ones with the real like arched back with the spikes and all that. It didn't really float my boat. I like the Reavers; they look fucking cool. So, which I've got an original Reavers. So that bad boy is why I like Reaver Titans. It was just that hunched look, fucking like the missile pods on the top, turbo laser, inferno cannon, or whatever it used to have. This one I based on the artwork in the Codex Titanicus edition of White Dwarf. So, oh, can't see it. So, I got that done, painted that all up. Happy little bunny. You know, it's just a cool little thing. It doesn't have anything in the top slot. In the artwork, it doesn't. It just has fucking that and that. Waste of a heart point, if you ask me. But doing that is what made me fall in love with Reaver Titans. They were just fucking cool, you know? But I got my appreciation for Warlords much later on when I built and painted a Forge World one for my friend Nikki Loftus for her. All our friend group chipped in money to get her a Warhound Titan. And I said, like, I'll build and paint it. You know, as also as well, I chipped in like 20 odd quid. But then I picked it up, built it, painted it as a Morbius sire of Invicta, and then posted it to her brother, who then sent it on up to her for her birthday, and still got it. Although I think there was a slight accident, and I think her husband, well, partner, Colin, had to repair it. But it wasn't until you sort of doing that you go, you know what? Actually, these are really quite cool fucking engines. The Mars pattern, I like the Mars pattern Warhounds, and I grew an appreciation for them. And the same has to be said once I started doing Warlords. Because, again, being such a sort of like, no, it's all Reavers. And all my friends, like, again, like, whenever you're there, you're choosing your favourite Space Marine chapter or whatever. Everyone in my group of friends had their favourite Titan. You know, and like, oh, I'm a Warlord. And I go, no, you want to be a Warlord? You want to be a fucking Reaver? And all that sort of shit. So I was pretty much anti anything with war at the front of it. But again, once I built my first Warlord, I just felt such a great sense of pride at having a fucking Warlord sitting there in front of me, staring at me, going, "Hi, I'm a fucking Warlord. I kill shit," which they do. So I've learned to be not so negative towards other classes of Titans. Warbringers, when they came out, people were like, "Oh, don't look his head, looks dirty," and then they stick a warlord head on there. Now, that don't make sense, and it's too big for the body. I can get on board if you put a Reaver head on it because it looks hench as fuck. It looks like fucking. You can imagine it being like a Wolverine, just going and ripping the shit out of things. Not that it has much access to close combat weapons, which is a shame in my opinion. But when I actually got to use one in game, I was pleasantly surprised because they are just fucking pepped up Reavers. Yeah, they move 1 inch less, but they have a better reactor track, shield track, and armor in certain places. They're tough motherfuckers. And the head that they comes with it, again, when you first saw it, you go, when you actually got it in front of you, it's like, actually, this is pretty fucking cool. Especially if, like, a few of me and my mates, we started doing the death head mask, the death mask, so the skull mask, sorry, on the head. It looks cool as fuck. You know, simple to do, but it really does sort of like give you that extra dimension of badassery that we all crave for with our Titans. But they are. Most people just use them as artillery pieces because they think they are artillery pieces. But you shouldn't use them as artillery pieces. You should use them as fucking heavy Reavers. Move them. I wish they'd actually do more formations and they had more access to more Warbringers, because you've only got a couple of them where you can have 2 Warbringers in a mana pool. You know, if you had like a heavy assault or even a heavy light assault, I don't know what you're going to do because obviously it's not a warlord, but still, it's that mid place. And maybe like had like 3 Warbringers and then like a couple of Reavers or Warhounds or even dire wolves, for fuck's sake. You know, it's like a Myrmidon but with Warbringers in. That would actually be quite interesting because they are more mobile than warlords are. You know, you literally just got 1 inch less. If you're boosting the reactor like you normally do in most fucking, you know, push the reactor to get that extra speed out of it, you're doing 7 inches as opposed to 8. Compared to, it's 1 inch less than a Reaver. Whereas Reaver doing 9, I can't remember now. Oh yeah, it's about 9, isn't it? For them. So they do 8 inches at pushing as opposed to 9 inches. But then they've got, as I said, the extra armor, they've got the extra reactor and extra shield, and they've got a fucking a warlord grade weapon on the fucking roof. So that's why I like doing my Warbringers with twin Las Blaster, because you've got, you know, range. Yeah, you lose out a little bit at distance, but you've got 6 shots, and you can get shield bane on them. And then you've either got the Quake Cannon, which I'm quite happy with a Quake Cannon, to be fair, because Knights are coming. Okay, I'll Quake the fuckers. It doesn't have to kill them. It can hurt them, and it can kill them, of course. But it can also get them to fucking stay in place or move slower, so they're not getting to me as quickly as they can do. And plus, obviously, they're automatically shaken if they've been quaked. So that's always good because you're making them do rolls, and that's what you want to do with your adversary, is make them make rolls. Make them do the work. Don't make it easy for them. No love for the old Lucius. No, I don't like the old Lucius. Like, they're too blocky, and that's the same with the Armageddon pattern warlords that it brought out in sort of later epic, they're too square. To me, the Lucius class warhounds, right, reminds me of a Scania truck. So every time I see that cab, it's a cab, it's a fucking truck. It's not a warhound, it's a Scania with legs. But that's my personal opinion. And yes, I'm sticking to it. And I know they've got this whole thing with Lucius Titans in the fluff, that background that, yeah, we've got teleporting Titans, which they had in the Skitarii rulebook about the Forge World Lucius. Yeah, they've got all this great stuff in there. Dyson Sphere, Planet of a Forge. Yeah, okay, you've got teleporting Titans. Okay. Why are there no rules for it? I want rules for teleporting Titans. Well, Chaos gets teleporting Titans with their warp shift abilities and stuff, but why don't Lucius? So that would be Astorum, isn't it? Astorum's from Lucius. So they should have teleporting Titans. Surely, I say. But yeah, it's great when you got people going, yeah, we've got teleporting Titans. Yeah, but there's no rule for it. So what's so great about it? It's great in the fluff, not in the reality of war. And that's what grinds my gears. You know what grinds my gears? Oh, Peter, what's that? But yeah, it's all some more washing to the exhausts, make them a little bit dirtier. Just that Grex. There's only so much that rules writers can actually do with stuff from the lore at the end of the day. Because the thing that works with, like, I'd say for the Adeptus Titanicus at present, what works for it is that you're on a level playing field in the fact that everybody has access to the same Titans. The rules just add flavour to the whole thing. So a little bit, it doesn't, and I say that to everybody, where people come in and I want to go for the Titan Legion with the best rules. Well, they're just there to add character. You can't win games on rules alone, on strats. You've got to be able to know how to fucking move your Titan and how to designate what the fuck you're shooting at. Target priority. And rules don't. You bastard. Rules are just there to add some interesting flavour. If you've painted your Titan, and then the thing that really does grind my gears is where people paint their Titans as a particular Legio, but they use a different Legio's rules for them because they think they get an advantage. And it's like, that defeats the whole point of painting them then. It's like the old thing with a few editions back. And I always remember that people had like Iron Hands had some really good buffs and stuff for their chapter tactics or whatever you want to call it back in 40k. So people were building like Ultramarines. But they're using. I'm using Iron Hands because to me it feels more like the Ultramarines should be that way. Bollocks! You're doing it because they have an advantage. But as I said, those things are there to add flavour and character to your armies of choice. It's not that one rule or one stratagem or one bit of war gear that's going to win the battle for you. It's a combination of your actual, insight, how you play the game, how you maneuver your titans, because that's what it comes down to. Is maneuvering. It's the most strategic yet tactical game, I find, because you have to really look at everything before you, and use what you have to the best of your ability to win through the day. I intend to do a Legion of Audax Warlord at some point, just for the crack. Do it. I know someone who would appreciate seeing that sort of stuff. Love Warbringers, they make night players think twice. Yeah. Or if you've got a Warlord, because that's the thing, like when this game first came out, everyone's going, like, in the Grandmaster box, you had 2 Warlords and 6 Questoris Knights. And everyone's like, I'm just going to stand here with my twin volcano cannons and kill everything. And that was the most boringest time within this entire 7 years now this game's been out. Having static Warlord Titans at the edge of the board just shooting off Apox and volcano cannons. This game needs scenery, because that helps the survivability on the smaller dudes. So the knights and stuff like that. But knights are actually quite tough. Yeah, you might not get a shield save, but it's still not definite that you will actually kill a knight outright. You got to, that's the thing with Porphyrions. Their crit is 17. So yeah, you hit them with a volcano cannon. Still got to roll a 5 to crit it. And you might not. Oh, I rolled a 2. That's 14. Well, that's a devastating. That's nice, but it's got like 7 spots there. So you need another 3 of them to kill it. And back in those days, you could have 4 in a squadron, not 2. Fun. But even then, the whole outcry about, Porphyrions are too powerful. Yeah, they were a little bit too cheap for what they did. Then the easiest fix that they had, which they didn't do, was that although they were blast weapons, because they're emulating what the weapons do in 40k, and that's the thing that I was told by some of the guys, the rules writers, was when they are doing that, they're bringing the game, the big model for 40k into Heresy, into AT. So whatever it does on the big model, they want to emulate with the small model. So those Magna las cannons that it has was it like 2 shots twin linked, I think, because they had 4 barrels. So that's the whole thing you used to do. Count the amount of barrels you got, and that's how many either shots you got or if they're twin linked, sort of thing. Also, I think with Imperial ones, if they were up and over and under, then they were anti-air. And if they were side by side, they were not anti-air. That was another thing that used to be a thing. but yeah, so what they could have just done with the Porphyrion is with the blast template, utilize that still, so they can't do targeted shots as well. Because it's 4 strength. It was like four shots at strength 8. That can be quite deadly on a damaged Titan. Targeted, you've got a better chance of hurting. So having the blast template remain, all they had to do was an FAQ saying that knights do not benefit from the blast rule, which was like if it's the centre spot, it doesn't benefit from it. So you don't get double hits, because that was the thing. When you're doing 4 hits with blast, it's 8 hits I'm doing. And then you also got the missiles as well, the rockets pods that they had, which was like rapid and they fired 6 times. So it's like you're doing 14 hits from that tiny thing. So yeah, the costings were off, but the easiest fix was to drop the amount of hits from the macro guns. That made sense to me, but they didn't. But they were tough little bastards. They still are. Trying to kill those little fuckers. I literally, you have to work your way through them. Unless you get crits, which there was that one game at Lijo Walks where I did a first fire with a coordinated fire from a maximal fire plasma gun on one of my warhounds. So he was doing a base of 11 strength because of coordinated fire, or because he was in squadron as well, whether. It's a coordinated fire, isn't it? So base 11, and I rolled my to hits. They all hit, and then I rolled. What was it? So that was 2 hits, so 4, and I literally rolled like. Because the amount of knights, wasn't it? Yeah, because it was a template. So there was 2 plus the rest. Because I rolled 5 dice because there was 4 Porphyrions on this hill facing me. So you got 2 on the first one and then 1 for each other one that it hit. And I rolled 4 6s and a 1, I think, something like that. Or 2. It was just a normal hit. So with the crits, I killed 3 of them. No, it was 3. No, it was 3 crits. Sorry, it was 3 crits, a devastating, and a miss. That was it. So the way I saw it, because I didn't quite understand the rules there, I was doing the 2 strength, then remove a Titan for the crit, and then 2 strength, remove a Titan for the crit, 2 strength, remove a Titan for the crit, and then there was the devastating, which would have took it over the edge. So I thought, in my mind, that's all 4 dead. I completely forgot that after the crit it resets. So literally I killed 3 and done 4 damage to the last one from that 5, that damage roll I rolled. So yeah, that was pretty good shooting, and that fucking saved my ass because I was up against a Myrmidon, Legio Kratos Myrmidon, and they had Hammer of Tyrants as part of the Myrmidon. So I had 3 Warlords and 4 Porphyrions to deal with, and I killed 3 of the Porphyrions in the first turn of shooting. So that helped me know it. So the luck does come into it, as well as being a fluky bastard. So I've got this. I said I've got to eat these cakes. I bought them really cheap. Nothing's going to go wrong, honest. Oh, lemon overdose. I love lemon cakes. Ouch. Mm. Piffy. Where's my paint? Where's the paint I want? That's not it. I hate it when you just put the paint down that you was using like not 20 minutes ago with my rambling. God damn it. Well, that'll do. So yeah, being a lucky son of a bitch does help out at times. Just so you can we'll bid you all good evening. Group ride with my mates on the motorcycle. Well, have fun there. Be safe. Be careful. Don't be over exuberant, but have fun. That's the main thing. And we will see you on Wednesday evening, no doubt, sir. So, happy hobbying, dude. Right. Let's paint some window frames with some lead belchy stuff. Nice windows. It was I used to just use Macrack blue on them, but a friend of mine used to paint his window, like the frames and all that, in lead belcher because it's like, oh, it's all lead in it. All these old type buildings like lead, you know, you can sell that for a bob down the old scrapyard. So I sort of started changing to doing that myself. Just to differentiate from the rest of the stuff, these walls. Just want it to stand out a little bit, didn't you? I'll stick some of that into there. I actually, so last night I watched The Karate Kid Part 2. So, yeah, the one out in Okinawa. And I realised I haven't watched it since I first saw it. So when it first came out, all those many, many moons ago, which was actually quite a sort of like sobering thought, because like that was mid to late 80s, wasn't it? And you know, after finishing watching Cobra Kai recently, the whole point we were watching Karate Kid again is that we wanted to watch where it all began. The surprising thing I sort of joked about last night, once watching the credits come through, was that Karate Kid was in a comic as well, and it's a DC comic, so it's in the DC expanded universe, surely. So like, They could technically have like Batman turn up. Superman. Well, that's how I see it anyway. It's in its own little universe. Oh, I just realised there was a window. Batman sends the Robins to train with Mr. Miyagi. I reckon Miyagi could take out the League of Shadows. Razul Ghul, Miyagi-san. That would be one hell of a spin-off. We've had all these other ones where you've got like Batman versus like aliens or Judge Dredd or whatever. Slurp a drink. It's lemon tart. It's quite tart. Yeah, that's actually something I wanted to do as well. So I like doing a lot of my cabling on Titans in Corax Black. Sorry, Corvus Black. So where you've got these like big fucking like they're like sorry, you can't see it there. So these things here that remind me of tumble dryer exhaust pipes that you stick out the window. So those get a little bit of Corvus Black. Because you want to break up the metal a bit with the use of painting cables different colours. Or piping, whatever you want to call it. Oh, you donkey. I will not finish that sentence. Stream. That's on there. I just like the effect that just doing something simple like that. It's like that, like those rubberized sort of insulated cabling um, that you can imagine being on a Titan. Yeah, so it doesn't electrocute itself. Mass static charge. So although it's sort of something that you kind of want to see as well, it's like imagining seeing like a Titan strolling around, and because of its like voids, you've got like electrical discharge coming off of it, sort of thing, where because it's a void shield is fucking entering, like activating the warp, isn't it? Having that sort of abundance of energy, just I suppose the only way I can describe it is the three storms from Big Trouble in Little China. You see the one dude, the electric lightning dude, just walking along, and he's just fucking sparking where he's just walking. What are you doing? I'm just sparking. That essence of power that is within him, and he's just like barely containing it. That's a sort of like a really cool sort of fucking visual. Yeah, he's not earthed. He's fucking sparking away there like a motherfucker. But it's always like when you watch like anime sort of thing, because I still am a massive fan of Bleach anime, and I imagine static is horrendous when the active Titans. Yeah, but that's the thing, if their void shields are up, it's hitting that, just like adding to the power of it. It's like absorbing. Um, active power fields. Oh. Or again, like when you've got in like the Matrix, when they go to find Neo, and you've got those huge capillary towers with all the humanity all plugged in, and you just see that electricity just spiraling up and sparking off of it. That whole fucking thing is just like, that there's power within, just because of the discharge, that it's like zzz, zzz, you see it just rippling off. And you think, yeah, this is powerful juju. Manifesting raw power. little nibble. Mm-mm-mm-mm. I'm doing these ones in red cabling because I noticed on the artwork side of things they'd painted them red. So currently building the Iron Warriors Warsmith. Just realised the Mechindrites are reloading the combi. But oh, that's cool. Is that the new one they brought out? I assume. Which is a nice detail. Yeah. Yeah, it finally came back into stock, so I grabbed it before it vanished again. That's always a wise move. Who was that? Was it Druga? Narek Druga, was it? The Pravian they brought out years back, which was an Iron Warriors character, because they brought it out at the same time as the Alpha Legion console, and yeah, so it was the Alpha Legion console dude with the sort of like lion skull face mask thingy, and Druga, which was the Pravian, so the one that you would have with the Vorax or Castellax sort of dudes. And I managed to get hold. I got hold of one initially, and I got hold of another one later on, because they were cool models. I had one painted up as an Iron Warrior, and one was painted up as Emperor's Children. Because I like Pravians. As Pravian was my go-to console for Horus Heresy. So all my armies I specifically made to be able to utilise Mechanicum stuff whenever possible. Because I liked Phalanx, and I liked Castellax, and I liked the Vorax. Hey, hello, sophist. They probably got all that static, because of them static making plasma globes on their backs. More than likely. That was the thing, is with all that, there's a lot of energy there. You know, you're being powered by something that has the same output as the sun with the plasma reactors. It's not, it's not cheap magic tricks. That's pure undulated power. But I've always been a sucker for that sort of imagery in TV movies where you just like got that, like, again, it almost feels like the Terminator. So you know, like when Arnold travels through time, and he appears in that little ball, and he's got that fucking electricity sparking off of him. It just goes, yeah, this dude's fucking. Grr. I need to find mine out. I think I used him for a banner bear originally. Also, hello, Princeps. Hello, Princeps. Hello, Princeps 2. How you been doing, buddy? You all cool? How's the hobbying going? And are you still tormenting the Kierans, more importantly, because they deserve it? Maybe not little Kieran. Little Kieran's cool. Big Kieran, fucking liability. Ah. Yeah, I need to. You know, when you get that urge, you need to play games. I need to play a game soon. I haven't played. Oh, fuck me. I did a whole host of demo games last year, but not really done anything else. I'm getting better. Been away for a bit. How are you? Well, improve faster. I dare you. Well, it's good to have you here, buddy. Yeah, I'm tickety boo. Countdown to I don't know why to say it, like my birthday next month, right? So I've got nothing planned. I've got nothing, literally all I've done because I luckily it falls on my day off, so I've got my kids on those days anyway, so I'll be with them. They'll probably do something nice. Yeah, I don't expect much, right? Um, so a card, that's fine. I'm happy, you know. Just like, hello, Dad, love you, you old bastard. That's fine. I can deal with that. Um, but because it's like traditionally considered to be a biggie, um, it's like I've left it too late to really organise anything, and I feel like, well, what should I organise? It's my birthday. 35 is a biggie. I love you, Kenneth. Thank you very much, you beautiful little monkey, you. Um, but it's 28 actually. Um, but that's the thing. It's like I've got this. I thought about this the other day. When I was 18, I organised going to a Chinese restaurant, like for a sit-down meal with my buddies. So where I was hanging out with my crew, well, my crew, I was like Mr. Average, like lower bottom sort of thing. We always used to hang out in a pub after college and whatever sort of thing. And there was a few of us. So boys and girls, we all hung out together, because a lot of us were at like not infant school, but senior school especially, groups of them. It was like just friends. So we also used to hang out at this pub called the Dog and Duck in Walthamstow, and so I thought, it's my 18th. Let's go out. I invited them to a meal, so it was like 12 of us to go to a meal, so I booked up a table and made it like, oh, there's going to be 12 of us. So can we have 12 spaces all together? Made a big fuss and all that. Turned up, there was 4 of us. No messages or anything like that. The other 8 didn't turn up. So it's kind of embarrassing when you're on this massive fucking table with 4 people. And one of them was my girlfriend, or it was actually my fiance, to be fair. And it's like, cheers, guys. So that really fucking, upset me. And so I don't like organising birthday stuff, purely because if I invited 12 people and only 8 of them turned up, or 4 of them only turned up, that would be like instant flashbacks to being 18-year-old me, sort of thing. They all turned up for the fucking pub crawls. Yeah, because we're just going from pub to pub to pub. So it's what we normally did when we had money. So, although that was a good night, to be fair, I'll be fair to them. A few of them disappeared by the wayside as we went on, and we ended up. My friend Ricky said, because we wanted the party to go on, it's like to make up for the meal that nobody turned up to on my birthday. And he said, "Oh, this pub down Lee Bridge Road. We'll go down there. They're open late, sort of thing, late closing." Okay, you know more about this than I do. We got a cab down there, pulled up, and there was, again, I'm 18. This was an over 21s bar. We thought, right, we'll just puff our chests out a bit, But they were turning away certain people in front of us, which I thought was odd. But they let us in. So we got in there, walked in, there was 4 of us in that bar. And it was funny enough, there was 4 of us, but everyone else had drifted off because it was getting late and whatever. So we've gone off there. And it was there that I noticed that there's not a lot of women in this bar. And it was gay night. So there was some women in there, but not as many as you would hope for going to a pub for a lock-in and all that. But to be fair, had a great night in there. So, just literally buying some drinks, dancing around. But, and there was no stress, there was no hassle. There was just fun. Like, you didn't get, people coming up to you, going, "You're all right," and all that, and trying to chat you up. Everyone just had a fun time. And that, it's funny when you say, it was I was in a gay bar. But it was a great night. It was fun. People singing and all the music coming on, all the latest tunes. So I was in there for a good sort of hour and a bit. We left before it shut too. And funnily enough, one of my work colleagues this is when I was doing hairdressing or training to be a barber, but I was working in a unisex salon, and the other sort of head junior was in there with her sister, sort of thing, because they knew the bouncers, so they got in. So yeah, it was chatting with them, it was a good night. There was no problems whatsoever, and it was just I actually really rate it as an end of an evening. It was all well and good going to all these other pubs, being complete idiots with your Larry part of the crew, sort of thing, and one of them bought some fucking novelty condoms, and one of it was a novelty condom, and it had a little mouse head on it, and he's playing finger mouse. Fucking, as you do. And that person who had done that was actually a former football player as well. He played professionally for Tottenham and QPR. And Stevenage. Mustn't forget that. Yeah, had a jolly good time. Oh, plastic painter. But that's the thing, sometimes when you sort of you go out, like when I used to go out like clubbing, I would always go out and I had the intention of just having fun. Like I weren't going there to try and pull or anything like that. I would literally my routine was you go to the nightclub or whatever, put your coat into the cloakroom, to the bar, I'd buy a pint, I'd drink half of it, and then I'd hit the dance floor and just dance. I'm not saying that I was a great dancer. I created moves. I just I just let go and just fucking dance. Literally, like sweating my ass off all night, just dancing. And sometimes you just end up meeting somebody, and you know they just got off on the energy sort of thing. And all I was to say, if you go with expectations to pull, you never pull because you look desperate because you're trying too hard. And I just went out there and just fucking acted like a twat half the time, but I had a great time. Um, I think one of my favourite times was there was a nightclub in Basildon called Time, and like obviously in Essex it can be a little bit ropey, with all the you know rough and tumbles and all that sort of shit. And me and my mates had all met up in this bar. We've gone to the nightclub and we've gone in there early. So like normally we'd aim to hit it for about half 10, 11. We're in there at half 9. There's not a lot of people in there. There's a few groups and all that sort of shit. There's no one on the dance floor. And because I'd already been drinking, me and my mate Nathan, because when I get into a double act with somebody, that's when danger happens. So me and Nathan had just gone, let's get on the fucking dance floor, because I think they started doing like Cotton Eye Joe or something like that, and we're just doing like country dancing, like going yeehaw, and we're the only two fuckers on the dance floor. Nobody else is on that dance floor, and we are just fucking just skipping around, having the greatest time ever. And I remember seeing the face on this one like sort of short-haired type chap, aka looked a bit skinheadish, but he was a trendy. And he's just looking at us, glaring at us like, how dare you fucking dance? And we're just fucking having the greatest time, just skipping around, dancing, linking arms, woohoo, that sort of shit. But then women got onto the dance floor because there's someone on the dance floor. And so little groups come on, and next minute there's lots more people on the dance floor, so it doesn't really matter. And again, you're just having a fucking crazy time. But it was just, I always remember that bloke's look. It's like, fucking like, you're some sort of arsehole. You fucking cat, yeah, sort of thing. Yeah, dancing in my club. But that was me. And like most people would say, like, "What are you on?" I said, "Oh, I think about half a pint." Um, I'm just breathing oxygen here. That's it. I'm not on drugs. I'm just fucking breathing oxygen. But you know, it was fun. It was a laugh. You're going out. Yeah, you have your chats, deep and meaningful chats when you're drunk. You know, righting wrongs and all that sort of shit. But I also remember that after that night as well, because again, late one, and being up. Literally, I had like 2 hours sleep before I had to go to work, and I was mixing. I remember like making a black coffee with like 3 or 4 scoops of coffee, about 8 sugars. And I was like drinking that and just like going, it's like you jump started your eyeballs. Yeah, so literally living on sugar and caffeine. And this was actually, I experimented because I thought, okay, I've got coffee here. That was quite intense. I normally had milky coffee. So I made a milky coffee. So I was like going back to normal levels of caffeine intake. But then I had this great idea because they just introduced this drink called Red Bull, which apparently gives you wings. And I thought, I know, I'll pour that into my coffee. I did that, and it just went as quite lumpy and mud-like because obviously fizzy drinks and milk do not necessarily make a good friendship. And I'm just sitting there looking at, I've just wasted this coffee and this Red Bull because it now looks like something I trodden in. So, yeah, so that was an experiment that I did that nobody else had to do after that sort of thing. Black coffee, fine, with Red Bull. White coffee, not so fine. Right. Back to these. So you Sophie, so you working on anything in particular now you're sort of back in, or you just chilling, dude? What are you up to? What have you been up to? Back out dancing that night. Yeah, right. Night, right. Yeah, of course, yeah. When I left home at 19, moved out to Basildon from London. I was working from 9 till 6 in a carpet floor, no, carpet shop, sorry. And I worked 6 days a week. So 9 till 6, 6 days a week. I was living in a little studio flat, which at the time was like 300 quid a month, literally. It was like, I was on my own. I'd moved to a new town and all that sort of stuff. It took me about a month to make friends with people, meet people, and make friends with people, something that was outside of work. But the following year, whilst celebrating my birthday with my friend Norman, whose birthday is a couple of days before mine, and my mate Nick, in a Pizza Hut where Nick worked, I was drunk whilst at this revelry, and I applied for a job at Pizza Hut, and I got it. So from after doing 9 till 6 at my store, I used to have Wednesdays off, and then after work on the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I would go. My boss would drop us off at the head office because it was on my way home, and Pizza Hut was around the corner. So he used to drop us off at Pizza Hut, and I'd go straight into there and get changed, and then work in the kitchens, either doing the dishes, like cleaning all the plates, all the pans, and all that sort of stuff, doing all the prep work, or making the pizzas. And when me and my mate Nick was making pizzas, if you had bought a pizza and we were making it for you, you got a fucking pizza, because we just didn't bother with the official measuring of ingredients, because you had these little beakers, so you had all the ingredients in their little fucking like trays. So all right, we come through. Okay, it's a margarita. Okay, that's easy. There you go. Bang. Ham and pineapple. Okay, bang. Meat feast. Okay, well it's that. But if it was a small pizza, you use a small beaker for the toppings. Medium pizza, you use the medium-sized beaker, and if it was a large one, use the large one. We tended to use the large one for most pizzas. We made one pizza. We were talking and just going with it and just having a laugh. And this pizza was like proper thick. It's like a mountain range of toppings. So, yeah, that'll do. No. There used to be caffeinated water back in the late 90s called Crank 2. Oh, yeah, I remember that. Me and my roommate in college decided to use it to make coffee. It was brilliant. No, that does sound cool. But when we ran out of money, we just had to readjust to normal coffee. It took a bit. Yeah, it's getting back to normality after you've lived the high life of Crank 2.0. Yeah, it was that definitely would have been a come down. I would love that pizza, dude. Like honestly, we put so much stuff on pizzas, especially like when we used to get the receipts come through. They could type the customer name if it was a collection. So my brother, if he was doing one, like it comes through, see my brother's name, sort of thing come through. All right, well we've got to make it a good one. So it's like you always got your money's worth because I think we found out, um, like back then that it cost. I think the cost was like 27p for a large pizza base, is what it worked out on, and then you've got the ingredients that you put on there. And then they were charging like a super supreme pizza back then was like 15 quid, pretty much. So that's the large with like the olives, all the bits and pieces, all the trimming sort of thing. And we just literally just went that extra mile. um, the other thing is we used to do is like accidentally make pizzas wrong on purpose. Because you'd get send backs like someone would go, oh, you got the pizza, you got the wrong topping on it or the wrong sauce, sort of thing. Oh, okay, we'll just knock up a new one for you. We'll put that one on top of the oven, and that will stay in the box in there. And then when everyone was taking a break, they'd go along and they'd help themselves to some pizza. Or the head kitchen guy, a bloke called Mo, would accidentally make a portion of garlic bread with cheese. Oh, how did that get in there? Oh, well, I better take that on my break with me, sort of thing. So I was actually not only using working at Pizza Hut as a way to make friends and to meet girls, because obviously there's a lot of girls that work there as waitresses and in the back room kitchens as well. And so I had a good social group there. I was also feeding myself because I never used to eat cheese. I basically got out of eating cheese as a kid because I always remember it at play school. I remember a kid called James eating something and being sick. And I remember seeing him being sick, and we went like, "Oh, where's he being sick?" I said, "Oh, he had cheese sandwiches for lunch," and that was it. I would not eat cheese. Um, and it was handy that my older brother used to get headaches or migraines from eating cheese, so I just said I get the same, so I never have to eat cheese again. But it weren't until 1994, whilst staying with friends at York University for the weekend, spunking all my money in the nightclubs on the first like 2 days, and then being hungry. And we all went to a Pizza Hut, and I literally, as an all-you-can-eat buffet, I had no money. I didn't pay for this. I literally just took pizza, and I thought, well, I have to eat something. So I was putting pepper on it to take away the taste of the cheese. It's mozzarella. It doesn't really have that strong a taste to it, but I didn't know that. And I had these slices of pizza, and I thought, fuck, this is really good. I really like this. And then it came in handy for when I worked at Pizza Hut. Haven't been able to get any hobby done this year. I've set up my paints and waterman palette and just stared it blankly for a while. To be honest, I've been in that same sort of situation. Obviously, I have done hobby, as fucking post enough about it, but like the other night, I sat there staring at the War Master for like 2 hours. I was also being distracted by, going on a deep dive on Instagram Reels and stuff like that. But then you look down and go, oh man. So it can happen to us all, to be fair. Sometimes if you're not in that sort of zone, it is hard to get motivated when you're like you're cold starting, you know. So what I always find that helps with the motivation side of things, I'm more motivated to hobby when I'm getting ready to do something. So, like with a Titan walk recently, I had to do work on my big Titans, and then I thought I'd do some work on small Titans as well, and other stuff, sort of shit. But I enjoy it more, and when you have that motivation, because you've got a deadline you're working to, so you are putting yourself under pressure a bit, but you work to it, you get involved, and you get it done. And then you sit back and go, you know what, actually, I quite enjoyed that. And it's getting yourself to rethink about the fact that you do kind of enjoy doing it. You've done it for long enough, but it's kick-starting that whole cycle within your brain to just go, actually, that was fun. I enjoyed that. I'm calm and relaxed. I had a great time painting some models, But it's that cold start where you don't feel that motivation, um, or as I just noticed, yes, so you bought some orcs hoping to change your pace will help. That is my other thing that I do. I call it a sorbet project because it freshens the palate. So normally when I've been doing, I first started doing this years ago when I was doing my Minotaurs Space Marine chapter, and I got bronze blind. I worked with bronze colours so much because I was just batch painting, and all that. And it's like I'm just seeing it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And so I found something completely different to what I've been doing. I thought, let's try this. Different range of colours, just get on it. So, doing the orcs will probably help you sort of motivate yourself in the alternate way, because you're not doing stuff that you've been doing before, that you've been getting that the problems with that inspiration and being wanting to do it, sort of thing. So that helps to break up the monotony of painting the same thing all the time, but also gives you something to work towards. And you go, actually, I really like the look of this little dude. In lockdown, again, when I was doing all Titans and stuff, I got a sorbet project on the go where it was Oathsworn miniatures. They do the little like animals with like knight suits and wizards and stuff like that. So you play it in Badgers and Burrows or something, I think it's called. So you have this like pirate otter. So it's an otter, but it's wearing like pirate outfit, and then you got a pirate. So it's like a rat with a captain's hat on and the big boots and a sword and stuff like that. They're really cool little metal models, and I got a little. I've got a little warband that I painted up. So there's like a little, I think it's like a little pug dog, but he's wearing like a coif and a breastplate, and he's got a shield and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, doing stuff like that, it really does help with the inspiration and to break habits, because you're doing something completely different from what you're doing. Like, you're not using the same paint, you're going elsewhere with it. So yeah, go with those orcs, those mighty orcs. You know, you can't go wrong. Fucking orcs are fucking hilarious. So should I learn how to play the actual game, and then I might be able to kickstart the hobby enjoyment? Possibly. You know, as I said, like, what game are you focusing on? Like, is it like Kill Team? Is it 40k? Is it Adventures of Titanicus? You know, whatever it is, what you want to do is like speak with one of your buddies that also do it and say, look, how about in like a month's time, 2 months' time, I book a day off, you book a day off, we go somewhere and we fucking play some fucking games. Because then that's making like a little adventure out of it as well. So like going down to like Bad Moon Cafe, you know, renting a table for an afternoon or evening or both. You know, go down there, have some dice rolling, buy some food or whatever, and hang out. Go around London even, sort of thing. Or day trip to Warhammer World, same thing. It's an adventure. It's something to look forward to. It's something to motivate you because you go, I want my stuff to look cool. So I've got 2 months to get this sorted out. So you're giving yourself a deadline. When you're sort of like open welding it, it is harder to get motivated. But when you've got that sort of objective and something to look forward to doing, that does help stimulate the productivity. I do perform better in that situation. So like when I was doing Dystopian Wars last year, doing, you know, an event was coming up. Right, okay, what fleet I'm going to do? I'm going to do these guys. Do I need anything else to make my fleet a little bit more playable? Well, yeah, I could get some more models and do those bits as well and make these ships. Okay, you're working to something, you're directed, you're focused because you've got an objective to be at that event with a force that you can deploy and play a game with and hopefully not be shit. But it makes such a difference having that sense of, you know, possibilities, that sort of direction, and, you know, being able to sort of work towards something. Because when you're free floating, as I was saying, if you're in that open world situation, yeah, you just look at stuff and go, don't really fancy that. You look at it, oh, don't really fancy that either. But when you go, you know what, I'm going to meet up with Dave, I'm going to kick his ass because I'm going to have a fucking awesome fucking new Titan with all the bells and whistles. He's going to look the bollocks, and then I'm going to rip him a new one in a fun way. That's a good way to look at it. But you know, I've learned, I've seen things, man. Having that sort of way about things and looking towards it and going in that direction with that focus, it does make a huge difference, and you'll feel it straight away. And plus, who doesn't want to hang out with buddies and roll dice? So that's something, if you are struggling with a particular, you know, painting project or whatever, you've got your sorbet project already lined up, so that's good. Next phase, as I said, you arrange a meet up with somebody. Say, look, I really want to play this game. I'm invested in it. I want to learn the rules a bit, and I want to have a force that I can deploy and play a game. You know, it doesn't have to be a massive game at the end of the day. You just do something simple, but you've got that hobby date booked in. You're going to meet up with your buddy. You're going to have a fucking great time. Roll dice and hope for the best. Simples. It sounds simpler, but it is. But as I say, when you're in that headspace, it is hard just to sort of get yourself up and going. Because as I said, I do it as well. I'm sure that there are many other sort of like you know, mainstream hobbyists and all that sort of stuff. Maybe not commissioned painters. That's their work. That's their jobs. They have to do it. But I'm sure that, you know, they get a lot of variety in their painting. But us mere mortals, not so much. You know, we have like nice selections of armies and stuff like that. But you still got to be, as you say, motivated to work on them. So having something to work towards is beneficial. And then mixing up with the sorbet. Yeah, can't go wrong. Ras. Oh yeah. Oh, right. I'm whipping the hairdryer out. Sorry. Going to Vanish. Great to catch you again, dude. Nighty night. Thank you for dropping in, Kenneth. Always a pleasure, never a chore. I'm probably going to be dropping off because I just realised it's 11:30. This is. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the longest stream of the year so far. I've done quite well. We've done fuck all, really, in the grand scheme of things. I've painted some cables. And some window frames. Oh, and these little things which I gave up on about an hour and a half ago. But again, like any progress is good progress. So even if I had only done that, I have spent a lot of the evening talking about Alien War and everything that I had learned from that experience and the friends that I've made. And it's about the friends we make along the way. But yeah, I've had, I said, time's flown. To be at 11:30, you know, 3.5 hour stream is rare for me at present, because I've managed to do a couple of longish ones. Slowgress is progress. I like that. I like that a lot. Slowgress is progress. But yeah, as I say, like when I say like a couple of you guys in here and we're having chats, that's when the fun happens, you know. Just not that I like the sound of my own voice, I really don't, but I do like talking with interesting people and having a good, you know, hobby hangout. It's all background noise at the end of the day. But I think I've really done fuck all tonight. But I am happy with my fuck all. I've done some cables. That's a big thing for me. So yeah, so I will think I shall be calling it there for the evening. Thank you everyone who has dropped in and chatted, contributed to the evening, made me laugh, made me smile, made me think deep and meaningful thoughts. And for my hidden friend in the wings, who swoops in and then swoops out and does mysterious things. Love you. I'll be back on Wednesday. Only a matter of several days from the usual time of 8 p.m. and we'll see where I end up with that. But I hope you all have a great rest of the weekend. Whatever you are doing, continue with the slowgress, because as Sophie says, slowgress is progress. So I will bid you all sweet dreams, and I'll see you all again on Wednesday. So peace out, people. take it easy and live large. Bye.